Why ain't nobody waved at me yet? And where's the sweet tea?
I grew up in a small town in upstate South Carolina. I've been here most of my life. I lived for 2 years at one point from 2020 to 2022, but even where I had moved to was still a small town in upstate South Carolina, like 2.5 hours from my hometown. So still overall about the same experience. And growing up in the South in a small southern city, I always thought that life was supposed to be operated in one way. And it's not because somebody sat me down and said, hey, Shayna, this is how life is supposed to live. It came from observation, things that I heard, things that I seen on the news, things that I even seen on social media. And that really shaped my view of how I thought that the world is until I started traveling.
Traveling as a Southerner made me realize something. The world is a lot less scary, a lot more complicated, and a lot more similar than I thought it was. But once I started getting on planes and seeing places for myself, I realized there were a lot of things I had completely wrong. So today, I want to share some of the biggest lessons travel taught me about people, life, and the world outside my small southern town. The world is not as dangerous as I was taught to believe. As somebody from a small southern town, I've heard it all. Don't travel alone, don't leave the country, don't trust strangers, big cities are dangerous, and foreign countries are unsafe. Travel taught me that while danger exists everywhere, most people are just trying to live their lives and they are not the boogeyman that's out to get you. When I was a kid, I had this unique fascination with foreign people, but at the same time, I had a little bit of fear. And the fear came from the news. For a long time, American media pushed that foreign people were dangerous and scary. They always showed the worst of the worst parts of their countries. And I fell for it. I was a kid. I don't think that way anymore. And I give myself grace for the way that I used to think. And then on top of that, most people from small towns don't have much experience outside of their small towns, so they're more likely to push their fears off onto you. And I have to learn to be careful with that as well, because if I listen to what everyone says, I'm not going to get any life experiences, which I don't listen, and that's how I've gotten the experiences that I've had so far in my life. There is not one right way to live life. Growing up in a small town, there can be a lot of pressure to follow a certain path in life. Graduate, get married, have kids, buy a house, and stay close to home. Travel showed me that people all over the world build happiness in different ways, and that's completely okay. Some people never get married. Some people don't want to have kids or want to have them later in life. Some move countries multiple times. Some prioritize experiences over possessions and family planning. About 3 years ago, I went to Houston, Texas to go visit my cousin and to hang out because it was Labor Day weekend. We went to a few bars and some clubs. And upon me chit-chatting with just different people, most of us was in the same age group, about mid-20s to late 20s. And I had told my cousin at the end of the night, once we got back to her apartment, I was like, hey, I noticed a lot of people here do not have kids like that. And she was like, yeah, nobody really got kids like that here. And I was a little surprised because back home where we're from, most people pop out a baby as soon as they get out of high school and they are married and have at least one child by the time they are 25 years old. Travel made me realize that normal is relative and it varies from location to location and person to person. Most people aren't thinking about you as much as you think. This is something solo travel teaches you quickly. Nobody cares that you're eating by yourself. Nobody cares that you're walking around by yourself. Nobody cares that you're taking photos and videos. You realize how much anxiety comes from worrying about other people's opinions. And even if a person does look at you, it's probably going to be for a split second and they're not going to think about you again after that moment. The freedom I found while traveling came from realizing nobody was really paying attention to me like that anyway. America is way more different than I realized. A lot of people think international travel changes you, but traveling within the US does too. Travel taught me that America is way more diverse than I realized growing up. I recall I had visited New York to see my daddy's side of the family when I was a kid. I heard a black man speaking fluent Spanish and I was mind blown, completely shocked and confused. I had never seen that before. Growing up in South Carolina, I wasn't exposed to many Afro-Latino people, so in my mind, black people spoke English and Hispanic people spoke Spanish. That's just what I had been exposed to. But that moment stuck with me because it was one of the first times I realized that the world was much bigger and more diverse than I ever thought. As I've gained more travel experiences, I've had that same realization over and over again. People don't fit neatly into boxes we create based on our own experiences. Sometimes what we think is normal is just what's normal where we're from. People everywhere want the same basic things in life. No matter where you go, safety, family, happiness, opportunity, and community is super important to people. Politics, language, and culture can make us seem different, but most people want similar things in life. This is one of those realizations that's simple but profound. The more countries I visit, the less different people seem. I became more confident than I ever thought I could be. Something else I didn't expect from traveling was how much confidence it would give me. Every time I navigated an airport by myself, figured out public transportation, solved a problem in another city, or traveled somewhere unfamiliar, I proved to myself that I was capable, actually more than capable. Growing up, I don't think I realized how much of life I was spending inside my comfort zone. Travel forced me outside of it, and every trip showed me that I could handle more than what I thought. I started traveling to see new places, but somewhere along the way, I learned a lot about myself too. Home got smaller and bigger at the same time. Travel made my hometown feel smaller because I realized how huge the world actually is. But it also made me appreciate the little things about home, such as Southern hospitality, familiarity, family, closeness, and a slower pace of living. Travel doesn't always make you love home less. Rather, it sometimes makes you appreciate it more than what you used to. Travel didn't make me outgrow my hometown. It just helped me see where my hometown fits into a much bigger world.